Kingdom's podcast.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Thursday nights at 7 p.m. right here on KXVS, the voice of Stockton.
This is Miriam, and you're listening to KXVS, the voice of Stockton.
You know what I got? I got a picture of his face with the little pillow on, the sleep face, and we're in Chicago.
Are they already in Chicago?
The one and only Leo Biaz. Hey, Leo.
I'm excited to be back, my man. It was 9 days in Vegas. We got stuck in the desert, and we had a little hangover remix out there, man.
I wore a wig to school once, and they said no headgear was allowed.
How did
spider web
was it
tights.
Obvious that it was a wig?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was having
a terrible
fun.
wig.
See, this is exactly why we have them on the show, and this is what makes them fun.
You're listening to KXVS, the voice of Stockton, 92.1 FM.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Julie Dameron, local veterinarian for over 20 years. I am so excited about my new radio show, Tales and Tips, on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Voice of Stockton, and KXVS Radio. I will discuss relevant issues affecting animals and pet owners today, how to avoid common problems, and how to extend the quality of life for your cherished companions. As a community advocate, I will also discuss important social issues that affect our city. I plan to showcase organizations and heroes who are doing amazing things to help others. Remember to tune in every Tuesday morning at 10, starting soon.
With Matt George and Leo Biaz.
Cowbell Kingdom's podcast.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Thursday nights at 7 p.m. right here on KXVS, the voice of Stockton.
Do you want to relive the golden days of Stockton? Join Nate Knott on Stockton Alive every first and third Monday at 6 p.m. Tune into thevoiceofstockton.org.
Attention, Stockton. Are you experiencing a transition in business, relationships, health, or your life purpose? I'm Darius Oliver, and I help people to look within and find clarity and direction in their constantly changing lives. Tune in and listen with me as I go deep into your patterns and personal cycles through divine numerology. Any life transition you're experiencing can be illuminated by an in-depth analysis of your chart. For the first time in Stockton, you now have access to a professional numerologist here to help you light your own way. I'm in the booth to help you find your own truth. Tune in to Divine Numerology every Friday at 3 p.m. on The Voice of Stockton.
My name is Josh, and you're listening to KXVS, the voice of Stockton, 92.1 FM. Catch us live on Facebook, YouTube, and the TuneIn app.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS, the voice of Stockton, or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
The Voice of Stockton on KXVS presents Tell It Like It Is with your hosts Motek Sanchez and Jerome Clay.
Hey, what's up world out there? How y'all doing? This is Jerome Clay. I got Motek. How you doing, boy?
In the house, like always. Good to see y'all.
Yeah, this is Tell It Like It Is, where politics and current events are being discussed from both sides, from a conservative Republican and a progressive liberal, where we don't have to argue. We can, we respect each other's opinions. So today, we're going to talk about the propositions. We're going to, discuss 1 through 12. And also, we're going to talk about some current events that's been going on, especially that hot topic with the birthright citizens and the 14th Amendment Does it apply to illegal immigrants or not? And some other current topics. So stay tuned. It's about to be a fiery session. But before we get into that, Motec, tell us what our current drink is for today.
Oh, today we got everybody's heard of a Moscow Mule?
Yes.
Today we got a Mexican Mule, right? Made by yours truly, a.k.a. the Motec Special. Salud.
What's in it?
We got today our host for the show, Tequila Añejo, made by Casa Mexico.
Okay.
It's one of the companies that's being sponsored by Oscar de la Hoya.
Okay.
So
okay.
It could be, we'll give some more information towards the end of the show, but it's aged in American oak barrels for 2 years. And actually this one is Reposado.
Okay.
Not the Añejo. So, we're just here breaking bread, so to speak, discussing some critical political issues of contemporary times, and whether it be national or today we're going to get into the statewide propositions as Jerome mentioned.
But before we get in that, you wearing a Kaepernick shirt, so we gotta address that fight that happened. Come on, those 3 fights that happened at the Battle of the Bay.
Man, sometimes people get passionate.
Okay, so let's see about passion. You can buy $100 ticket, right? This is great. You buy $100 ticket or less, and now you get charged with felony assault. And then they say now that the guy's in a hospital clinging to life.
I don't know about that because I saw him get up and walk in, but maybe you got that information from Fox News. I'm not too sure.
Well, you got Dog Fox. It has nothing to do with Fox News and MSNBC.
Look, I'm a 49ers fan, true and through.
Uh-huh.
I can't condone violence, and to me, it's just not a smart move to spend any amount of money on any ticket. And if you found any for $100, you should have let me know. Because I got friends that, spend up to $500 to be at that blowout of the Oakland Raiders. Shout out to them before they come to Las Vegas Raiders. But I'm just saying, I agree with you.
They had,
right?
Okay.
I concur.
Okay.
It's not a smart move to go to a game and get in any kind of violent confrontation whatsoever. And most of the times it's because people overindulge in alcohol that can't handle the liquor or whatnot, or they let the excitement get to them, and it's just a bad look on all parties.
Right. Well, I just had to throw that out there, but this is Tell It Like It Is. You can find us on Facebook. We creating our Tell It Like It Is Facebook page where you can like it. YouTube, we're on YouTube, also Twitter, and we'll be coming to Instagram soon. So this is Tell It Like It Is, and let's get into the show. So Motec, now I know you've seen that caravan of people coming in, right?
Uh-huh.
And so, first off, before we get into birthright citizenships, because I know you've been itching for that, what do you think about the caravan that's coming in of 14,000 people coming in? An invasion, right? They call it an invasion.
Invasion.
So is it an invasion? First off, let me ask you, is it an invasion?
Is it what classifies it as an invasion? Do they have weapons with them? Do they have ulterior motives?
Do you know?
Have ill will towards United States?
Yeah, they do.
And the people of the United States.
So
how can you say that?
So
where's the evidence?
So this is what I can say watching MSNBC, right? You can see the caravan coming in.
Hold up, time out.
Yes,
so now MSNBC is a reliable source. We just had a Republican cite MSNBC is a reliable source. So, I just want to note that for the record.
So MSNBC
post a note on the wall for that.
So watch this. So this is what we have. I see them coming in here, right? And some of them,
Matter of fact, I'm gonna drink to that.
Okay. Well, some of the individuals and the immigrants that are in there, I do feel bad for them because they are looking for better lives, and I totally feel for them, and we should help. Then you have some that have the mask on. They pick up the dangerous rocks and they throwing the rocks at people.
I saw that.
And they're attacking. And then there's some that have MS-13 gang.
Now I haven't seen any of that.
That's some of the reports say. So, but we don't know.
Who the reports
but listen, we know that that's how you can human traffic in those caravans. You can drugs in those caravans. So why is it wrong for not just the president but for any administration to say, okay, you're coming in like this, you must go to the port of entry? Why is it right for them to break down Mexico's wall, to get into the lake, swim, and do whatever they have to do to get there? Why is that right?
I'm not saying that it's right, and I don't think it's a question of right or wrong. Mm-hmm. I think it's a question of what is the reality of what they're escaping. I'm not one to agree with the actions completely of the group or the Mexican government, right? Because the Mexican government likes to oftentimes criticize U.S. immigration policy, but at the same time, they're not exactly the welcoming arms that are in a position to criticize anybody. And to me, being of Mexican descent, that's unfortunate because they should be a lot more open to the struggle of their brothers and sisters just south of them.
And I like that. Okay, so you know who Cesar Chavez is, right? So I got one for you because you're of Mexican descent. Yeah. So Cesar Chavez was the founder of the United Farm
one of the
Workers Union, right? Okay. So with that, so I know you heard of this. Was it Si se puede? Yes, we can. Yeah. So now, when Cesar said yes, we can, he meant yes, we can build that wall because he knew. he did that, and
I didn't hear the rest of that slogan.
So it was yes, we can build that wall because he knew.
Okay.
He knew that peasants would come over from Mexico and other regions, and they would work. Yeah, work. And then here's to prove that. We know back in 1969, Cesar Chavez led a march, right, with a Democrat senator and one of Martin Luther King's representatives, and they led a march to protest against the illegal immigrants coming in. And then also, we know that Cesar Chavez sent out his goons and the union members to go out and beat illegal immigrants.
That was the Teamsters.
No. Cesar Chavez was a part of that too.
That was the Teamsters.
So whether you call it the Teamsters, he sent them out. So you heard the story. They got changed. They beat the illegal immigrants.
The Teamsters.
What else they do? They burnt their houses, right? So Cesar Chavez hated illegal immigrants. And now
No,
he hated illegal immigrants.
I feel like timeout. I feel like we're overcharacterizing.
Is that true?
That's not true.
Oh, it's not true.
That's not true.
So when he says si se puede, yes we can, he didn't mean let's build that wall.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I've never seen, and I watched a lot of, I pride myself on being a Chicano historian.
Okay.
I've done
and I know you are.
I got a degree in ethnic studies.
I know
with
you do.
a concentration in Chicano studies.
Okay.
I feel like I know a little bit about the subject matter.
So did he?
I have never heard that be the second part of that slogan. Now, what I will acknowledge is the fact and the truth that, yes, Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta and the United Farm Workers were against undocumented workers coming here and illegal immigration because people like Alex Spanos and other predatory contractors, business owners, farmers, etc., were using them to undermine the efforts to unionize farm workers that were being abused, that were being taken advantage of, and that were being exploited.
Okay.
So as a strategic move, I understand it. What I cannot condone is their use of slurs like wetback, etc., to designate these individuals trying to work and provide for their families as a means of combating that tactic, right? So I'm acknowledging the truth of the reality in that historical evidence, but I think you're oversimplifying that and how you characterize it.
But that's what Cesar Chavez meant, and he didn't.
We can't say that's what he meant if that's not what he said.
I mean, he said "se se puede." Yes, we can.
Means yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Means that yes, we can.
But he wasn't talking about that. He was talking, yes, we can build that border.
I don't know where you got that history.
Okay, but let's take it even further because you don't like that. Let's take it.
I don't like it. It's just not true.
Let's take it to 1975 with Jerry Brown. Remember the fall of Saigon when they wanted to ship over 500 Vietnamese to California.
That Stockton got a lot of.
And Jerry Brown said, "How can I take in 500,000 Vietnamese and yet we got 1 million of Californians need a job?"
Okay.
But now all of a sudden, Jerry Brown is like, hey, we need to let them in. So what changed? And even Joe Biden,
let's be real,
he backed that bill.
A lot of places like Stockton, where we are filming this song, live on location.
Yes, yes, we are. Shout out Stockton.
A lot of places like Stockton
said,
we will take in those refugees, right?
Okay.
We will take in those refugees of military actions that the United States caused, and we will take them in for the simple fact that came with federal funding, state funding to provide social services, right? So when they did that, they didn't really care about the people. They just cared about they come with funding. So you have another predatory kind of exploitative move on local government's part, and the way that was handled has reverberating effects to this day in some of the challenges of Stockton. But not to get off topic, because now we're talking about with yet another episode, and I feel like that's why you're bringing these episodes up, right? These historical occurrences, right? 'Cause you're trying to establish a pattern here.
So what's the pattern? What I'm really trying to establish is that, okay, illegal immigrants, when dealt in the past from both parties, they were against illegal immigration. Bill Clinton in '95 on the
True. I agree.
State of the Union address.
100%. You're never gonna find an apologist in me,
right?
Excusing the past rhetoric and actions of whether it be Jerry Brown or Bill Clinton.
Right. So
what
I agree.
Changed? I'm in agreement with.
So the only thing that changed is like the Democrats said, okay, this is what we need.
Look, at the end of the day,
they want votes.
Can we agree? At the end of the day, they want votes.
They
right?
want votes.
So they're gonna exploit because it's a hot topic, hot button issue, and they're gonna say, look, we got an election coming up.
Right.
We got so many Mexicans and so-called Latinos in our state.
And they
which
count
we
on the
are
votes.
The majority now, and if we make it seem like we're on their side, they're gonna vote for us. They're gonna keep us in power. I get that.
So
right?
that's all this is. So illegal immigrants.
I
you look
agree
at
with you 100% when it comes.
Okay, so there we go. So we tell it like it is. So let's get into this birthright citizenship.
Okay, but just to finish off though, but that doesn't necessarily. We got to look at Honduras. It's a lot more. We can't oversimplify, right? And that's why I feel like you're oversimplifying it. We got to look at, first of all, are they, because you use the term invaders, right? Or invasion.
I didn't use invaders. I'm saying that's the term that's used to call them.
You said
invaders.
Invasion, right?
No, I didn't say invasion.
We can review the tape.
No, we can review the tape.
It's alive right now, but we going to review it later.
What I said was, it's an invasion coming, but I didn't call them invaders.
Well, I think they're.
It's been called in this administration.
I think
they've been called invaders and an invasion.
I think that's rhetoric, right? And I think it's.
But is it an invasion?
It's irresponsible to use that rhetoric because when someone classify something as an invasion, they are it comes with certain connotations, right? Like we celebrate Pilgrims and Plymouth Rock, but I can call that, as somebody of Native American descent, call that an invasion, right?
Okay.
But all of a sudden people get their feelings hurt if I call Pilgrims and invaders, right? So what I'm trying to say with Honduras is that we need to take a step back and we need to look at, are these people really coming here because they just decided one day, you know what, hey, let's just all get together and just brave this extreme journey and let's just go to the United States just because that's the place to be, right? Or does it have a direct effect from U.S. international policy of the United States federal government that has interfered illegally in the government of Honduras? The Obama administration, Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, supported an illegal military coup that destabilized that nation, that led to basically de facto governments of sectors of the community being run by gangs that were imported from Los Angeles and the United States. So you have if you look at the gangs that are the ones they're fleeing from, right? You have Mara Salvatrucha, you have 18th Street. Both of those gangs were born in Los Angeles.
Okay.
So there is the fact that those gangs find their roots in the United States of America, California, Los Angeles, one of our most popular cities, especially on the West Coast. We cannot say that this is not a problem that was fostered, born, and created in the United States. It is a residual of that, right? So we cannot just simply judge them and say these people are trying to invade, they're illegal immigrants, they're trying to come over here, we need to build a wall, without taking responsibility for our government's actions.
Let's look at what our government what our government has done. Our government sent them over $500 million to deal with this crisis.
To who?
They sent it to their government.
To the legitimately democratically elected government or the illegal military coup that they supported? Because that makes a difference.
Okay, but you have our government, they're giving taxpayers money to Honduras, to other parts of the regions, right? And yet they still are allowing these individuals to come here. And when you're saying it's not an invasion, so you look at this. Okay, so look at the caravan right now. You'll see different flags being waved, right? They're not waving the USA flags, but yet they want to come to the USA.
They didn't have them at their local stores.
No,
How they gonna wave
but once again,
they don't have made in China products out there.
Okay, but they're trying to come to USA. So you have them waving their flags, right? They saying F the USA. They got masks on. Oh, you heard them say that. You heard them.
Nah.
They throwing rocks.
That's not.
And then let's
I gotta
get
see
some
the
facts.
source side on that one.
So here's some facts. Let's get some facts. Mexico said they would give them asylum. They refused asylum in Mexico, right? Okay. And so that is true, and that's fact. So
I would
so you're going. You
like
rather walk another 900 miles.
I would like to sit down personally with them, right?
Uh-huh.
As I don't work for CNN, so
Yeah.
when times ain't got to reach that far.
Okay.
But I would like to sit down with them and find out exactly why did they deny that asylum from Mexico? Because again, that raises questions. I gotta agree that raises questions, right? But that's not to say.
And then why don't they want to
like
go
an
into the port
invasion
of
force?
entry? Why wouldn't they do it the right way and enter into a port of entry?
So let's talk about.
So you're talking about the right way.
Let's
Is
talk
simple.
about-
Get asylum through Mexico, which they don't want. No, don't worry. Okay, so here's the right way.
Okay.
Mexico say, hey, you know what? We're gonna take as many of these that we can handle. We'll give you asylum. They're saying, oh no. We don't want asylum. We want to walk 900 miles to the United States. And by the way, while we're walking, if you Mexico police try to stop us, we're gonna take these rocks in your streets and we're gonna throw them at you, right? And then on top of that, we're gonna put a little mask on. We're gonna start kicking down.
Why is there rocks in the street to begin with?
Okay,
Is what I want to know.
All right, so we're gonna kick down. We're gonna kick down the walls, and even better than that, we're then gonna hop into the ocean, make up rafts, and we're gonna paddle.
You exaggerate.
We're gonna paddle.
That was not the ocean.
The ocean. We're gonna paddle. Women and children. Then we're gonna get buses, caravan through the jungle, right? Because we have to get to the United States.
The Jungle Book.
We got to get to the United States.
Come on, man.
Come on. So you know this is true. So why don't you tell it like it is right now?
So
tell it like it is.
Let me tell it like it is.
Okay, tell it.
So first off, you said responsibility, right?
Correct.
Okay. So what is the responsibility of our federal government to interfere in their democratically elected government to begin with, right? Because again, we have to look at the roots of this problem. These people did not just all of a sudden one day say, you know what, I'm not happy here. I'm just going to uproot my hometown where I was born, and I'm going to brave this trail, and I'm going to defy the Mexican government and the United States government and military. During a time where we have a president that is so anti-immigrant, right? Even though his two wives, two of I don't know how many, are themselves immigrants, right? His children, under the definition of anchor babies, are anchor babies, right?
Right.
So it's just the hypocrisy of that, but that's a side note.
Okay.
My thing is it's the harvest of empire, right? The United States, since the Monroe Doctrine in 1823 with President Monroe, has been interfering in Mexico, Central, and South America, basically telling European powers, look, your colonialism is cut off. We are the masters of colonialism in this hemisphere. And since then, they have been interfering. And then after 150 years of doing such, they wonder why people are being drawn here or pushed away out of their homeland, right? It's a push-pull theory of you're being pushed away from your homeland and you're being pulled here by the United States. So we have to look at those factors. We cannot simply look at the poor immigrant, refugee, whatever we want to classify them as. We cannot look at them because at the end of the day, they don't have the agency or the organization that the United States federal government and military does.
So what
and
about
that's
the
what we
500
have.
million?
That's what I feel is being left out of the conversation.
So what about the 500 million that has been allocated to these governments, right? So we as taxpayers, we're paying their government to keep their people there. We're saying rebuild your country. Here's 500 million. Rebuild your country, right? Help your citizens out. We are giving different governments ample amount of money. We're giving them a ton of money, right? And this is what we get back in return. We get caravans of 14,000 people. And I have no problem with the caravan. But however, we have homeless in California. We're in, like you said, we're in Stockton right now.
We're conflating issues there. Homelessness has zero relationship to immigration.
It does, because we're now, let's say they make it over here, right?
So let me ask you this.
So let me ask you, okay, but here's this. Answer this. If they come in, since we're inflating issues, if they come here, and let's say they do come here, and they go into the hospital, who pays for that bill, right? If they seek shelter, who pays for that bill? So if 14,000 individuals hypothetically make it over here, they have nowhere to go unless you're going to take 3 or 4 of them at your house. So if you got 14,000 people, what about the homeless? That's 14,000 people homeless that we could have taken care of, that are our own citizens, that are Americans.
So let's not pretend like we care about our homeless, right?
Okay.
Let's not pretend like we do. And both of us being veterans,
right? That's true.
We know there's so many homeless veterans.
That's
we
true.
know our government at the end of the day don't care about no homeless in this country,
That's true.
right? Because if that was the case, we could send a man to the moon, right?
true.
But we can't. You telling me we can't solve homelessness? There is a big difference between a man or a woman who is traveling the dangerous journey of coming to the United States, not knowing where they're going, not knowing what their life is going to be like, as a last-ditch, desperate effort to provide for their family or their children to survive or make a better future, right? To me, I know a lot of hardworking immigrants that this country absolutely relies on. Our economy absolutely relies on. And that's why this issue will never be solved anytime soon, because our economy thrives on it, regardless of the rhetoric that either side of the aisle likes to push, right? And I agree, both sides of the aisle have pushed a negative rhetoric.
That's correct.
Especially the Democratic Party with Bill Clinton, who's an icon to their followers, right? Or whether it be George Bush or it's just ironic that Reagan offered amnesty.
That's true.
And that might have had something to do with the fact that he was found and caught to be illegal for interfering in Central American countries with the Iran-Contra scandal. And now we find out later the CIA crack scandal. So my thing is, there's a big difference. We cannot compare homeless to like refugees or immigrants, because when we have somebody that's willing to work hard and sacrifice their safety, their comfort, to work hard to provide for their families, and then we got people that are homeless because they got drug addictions or mental health issues, or refuse to even follow the basic rules to even be accepted into homeless shelters.
Okay.
We cannot put them on the same level because they're just not in the same category.
So let's go on the same level.
I feel like that's being unfair to the immigrants.
So let's go on the same level. You have, of course, you know, because I know you have your master's, I have my JD, supply and demand. So, and there's been studies that have been shown supply and demand. So you have an immigrant that comes over, and he works for much less wages than the individual that's here.
Mm-hmm.
So supply and demand will say, you know what? Why should we pay, for example, why should we pay Motec $15, $20 an hour with benefits?
I agree with you.
But I can play Jerome Clay.
And what I'm saying is that's done
13 cents a barrel.
And that's done purposely.
So, but what happens once again? Now you got the supply and demand.
I agree.
All out of whack. You know, but what happens to the American workers? And that's why I say Cesar Chavez was against it, because he knew as a union member, he was trying to
unionize,
right? As a union,
absolutely.
And I believe one of his statements, he was like, "Wait a minute, I'm just paraphrasing. We have union workers. If peasants come over, it'll hurt with the strikes, because if we strike and yet the companies can bring
them
in
as basically as scabs to undercut
right,
union
and so then even with that,
they were trying to union break with them,
right? So because he understood supply and demand, right? He understood that if you can bring in peasants from Central America to work for less wages while we're on strike, what's going to happen to the union members? You're going to break the union.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I'm just saying, when you're saying, okay, they're trying to come over here for a better life. Well, if they come over and they get 13 cents a bushel, and yet I want $15 an hour plus paid vacations,
you ain't gonna be able to compete.
You can't compete. Yeah. So now what you've done is you put Americans who are sending from their taxpayers back to them.
But I like what you just said now.
Okay.
Let's time out.
Okay.
Because you just said I like what they done. Let's define who's they, right? Because the they is not the immigrant.
The they is the companies, the corporations.
Exactly.
So the corporations.
So we can agree on that.
Right. So if you really wanted to solve this issue,
it is the corporations
that are hiring,
that are funding these politicians.
But
right. So at the end of the day, why would they ever let the politicians that they fund and own create a system that is going to limit their maximization of profits?
They're not going to do it.
They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
So even with all this rhetoric that the president is doing, I believe they said he had people build his Trump towers that were illegal immigrants. So he likes illegal immigrants as well. But let's get into this 14th Amendment, birthright citizenships. All right. Okay. So the president said that he truly believes he has executive power to eliminate birthright citizenship.
Which I don't know where he got that from.
So first off, what do you believe he can do it with executive order? Why don't you believe he can do it with executive order?
Absolutely not. Because
let me hear it.
That's an amendment to the United States Constitution.
Okay.
No president has the authority to single-handedly amend the U.S. Constitution.
So
that's simple. Okay,
so this is my take from the 14th Amendment. So you heard of the Dred Scott case, right?
Yes.
So the Dred Scott case, his masters took him into a free state,
right.
and he tried to sue. Right, he tried to he tried to sue for his freedom because he's like, wait a minute, I'm in a free state now.
Yeah.
He's from the South. Then I should be able to have my freedom. So when he sued, he made his way to the Supreme Court. They said, you know what, you're a slave, you're property. So then after that, we had the civil rights, the Civil War, right? And then the Civil War, that's when they passed the 13th Amendment that
well, there's one factor of the Dred Scott case that we're leaving out, which was not only did he lose that case, but the Supreme Court decided that was basically used to open the door. Prior to that, slavery was based on it was a legal labor relationship, right? And it applied to both black and whites.
Correct.
Right.
But the whites were different. The whites, they were truly
it was indentured servitude.
Right. Okay, so it was different.
The difference with the Dred Scott case, why that was such a landmark decision was because that basically opened the door to say, not only are you enslaved because of this legal relationship, and that's why I like to always remind people, just because something's legal doesn't mean it's right.
Right.
This legal relationship, but it also extended that to say, also, you are allowed to be enslaved because of your race, and not just you as a man here and now, but any of your descendants from here on out.
But not only that, the Dred Scott said that African Americans were property. So they said because they were property, you had no right to sue because you were property.
So that's what I'm saying, though, but it's specifically defined if you were Negro, right, which is negro from Spanish.
Right.
If you were Negro, then you were allowed to be enslaved as property, but not just you, but also your children.
That's
so they
correct.
would be born
Correct.
into slavery. That's what was so fundamental, a landmark issue about the Dred Scott case.
So even then, okay.
So the 14th Amendment
but before we get to the 14th
overturns
Amendment,
that.
But before we get to the 14th Amendment, you have the 13th Amendment, right, which is abolishes
The 13th and 14th,
Well-
just for the audience, the 13th and 14th Amendments came about as a result of the Civil War.
Right. So the Civil War takes place.
Which essentially ended slavery and outlawed chattel slavery.
Right. So so the 13th Amendment says you can't. There's no more involuntary servitude, right? Except if you get incarcerated, right? So that's the exception they have now.
So that's important. No, like let's explain that for the viewers,
Right.
Because first of all, what's the difference between indentured servitude and chattel slavery? The difference is indentured servitude is a legal labor relationship,
But it's a volunteer.
Not
Well, you indentured
to a certain
So
extent,
it's
true.
indentured. If you come in, so I can say, look, I don't have no money, and I want to work
You
on your
can pay it
plantation.
off eventually.
Right. Correct.
But it has no relationship on your children, your family. Chattel slavery, however, basically defines you and puts you in the same category as like cows and ox and animals, right?
Right.
It regards you legally under the law as having the same rights that animals do.
Okay.
And you are property, and so are your children. So that's the difference. I just want to explain that.
Well, and not only that, and that's why if a person gets incarcerated now, and he's and they're allowed to work for the minimum amount, the 13 cents a day they're working for, because that's the exception that the 13th Amendment allowed for. And it's a form of slavery because you see now the prison system is a big money-making machine, right? They're privately funded. So when you commit a crime and they lock you away, they can make you make license plates and different things at a reduced price because it's a form. It's a form of slavery.
Legal slavery.
It's illegal
And
slavery.
I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because the 13th Amendment. People often will misunderstand and mistake that slavery was outlawed with the Civil War and the implementation of the 13th, 14th Amendment. But that is not true. The 13th Amendment, what it says, it does not outlaw slavery. What it does is it shifts it from being chattel slavery by birth to say you can now only be a slave in the United States under this circumstance,
Right.
which is incarceration.
And so what even slave owners back in the day, what they would do is they would say, okay, he owes me some money.
Yeah.
And then the courts would say, okay, well, how much he owe you? Well, he owes me $5. And the slave would say, wait a minute, I don't owe him no money. And they say, oh, you know what, you property, you can't talk anyway.
Yeah,
so then he would go back on the plantation and have to work off money that he didn't even owe. But that's the 13th Amendment. So then what happened is, okay, the South was saying, you know what, we don't care what happened in the Civil War. We don't
It's
care
Jim
what
Crow.
the 13th Amendment says
enter Jim Crow.
we're still under the Dred Scott case because their
enforce
property.
these rules.
We still are going to say that blacks are not. They're not free.
They're not citizens.
They're not citizens at all.
And that comes the 14th Amendment.
And so what happened? The 14th Amendment came.
Yeah.
But what happened with the 14th Amendment? Andrew Jackson, remember, he vetoed the bill and actually had to go back to Congress 2/3 to vote it in.
Mm-hmm.
So now you got the 14th Amendment. So now let's deal with the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment, really, I think the founder of it was Jacob Howard, or he spoke on the floor of which was a Republican, by the way. He spoke on the floor of Congress.
Back in those days, they had heart.
No, but
they had morals.
But when he was talking, it was really for blacks, and it was for blacks to say, you know what? Look, we got this awful Dred Scott case, as you said earlier. We have this 13th Amendment that says there is no more slavery, but yet still the South is refusing. So this is what we're going to do. Yeah. We're going to have this amendment come in to say that, you know what? If you were born here, right, then you're a citizen, no matter what color you are.
Naturalized citizen.
Right, naturalized
or
citizen.
You're automatically
no matter
a
what
citizen.
color. But now,
automatically.
Now what Trump is saying, whether you agree or not agree, there's that clause in that 14th Amendment and the subject thereof. Now, does that mean if a person comes here illegal, then they have a baby illegally, how are they subject to the jurisdiction thereof? And so I think what he's talking about with the executive order is he's talking about defining that portion of it, not saying I can rewrite the Constitution, because to rewrite the Constitution, let it be known, you got to have a majority in both houses. Then the states have to ratify it. So there's no way you're gonna rewrite that.
It's not a simple
it's not
thing
gonna
to
happen.
do.
So what he's doing is saying, okay, because we have this particular part, and remember this, there was a case, I believe he was a Chinese American. Remember, he was born here, he went back to China, then he tried to come back in, and they tried to say he wasn't a citizen, and the Supreme Court said, no, he is a citizen.
Yeah, because he was born here.
But Trump's not saying that.
Citizen.
Right, but that was different. Trump's not saying that. What Trump's saying is this, okay, if you're illegal, and you come here illegally, and then you have a baby here, how are you subject to the jurisdiction thereof? Because if I go to China illegally, if I sneak into China, and I have a baby, that baby is not a citizen of China.
Yeah, but since when are we comparing ourselves to communist dictatorship?
No, but I'm just saying, and let's take it even further with Ted Cruz. Remember, I think his dad or mother was a Canadian, and he was born in Canada, but they said because one parent,
but
he wasn't. But I think his mother was American.
Yeah,
and so he wasn't even born on soil, and yet he was running for the president.
Considered
an American
citizen
because his mother
and ran for president, even though he had no business to.
But he was born in Canada, right?
Okay.
And so what I'm saying is, if you're saying to the subject of the jurisdiction thereof,
so how you gonna tell somebody who is born here? Let's say somebody born right here, San Joaquin County Hospital, like I was, right? How you gonna tell somebody that was born here, per the 14th Amendment,
right,
which clearly states naturalized citizen,
right?
Regardless of what that kid's parents did, that baby was born here.
But the subject to the jurisdiction thereof. How do you get around?
Baby was born here.
But once again,
who does the baby answer to?
But
how's that baby going to answer to Honduras or Mexico or China or Poland or Russia or wherever?
Great. How? Just how Ted Cruz answered to America with his mother. So if their mother was from Poland, Honduras, China.
That's different.
Oh, but it's different now.
That is different.
I got you now.
So it's a different category.
It's different now.
It's different category.
It's different now. I got you. So I'm just saying.
Tell me this. Is somebody more of a citizen if they themselves are physically born here or if they're born somewhere else but one of their parents was, right? Who has greater right to say, I'm an American citizen?
All I'm saying
I'm going to go with the baby that was actually born within the political borders.
But if you look at what I'm saying is what he's talking about is that part subject to the jurisdiction thereof. So, now, there could be arguments made on both ways, but it's not defined. It's not saying, okay, if you illegally come here and you have a baby, then that means the baby automatically gets citizenship.
So is Trump going to have to send all his kids back to Europe?
Difference
That's what I want to know.
Because
that's what I want to know.
His wives eventually became citizens.
Come on, man.
They eventually became citizens.
Come on, man.
So they did it the right way. They got the process, became citizens.
The right way.
Yeah, they got it the right way.
So Einstein visas are just like thrown out to nude models just because, like, I don't get it.
Hey, shouts out to T.I. That was a great music video. Had to get that shout out.
Come on, you better watch out, man. You might get death threats.
No, but I'm just saying at the end of the day, you have to look at it as if someone migrates here illegally, right? Now, they didn't go through To me, I look at it. Let's say they go to the port of entry, right, and they're pregnant. Go to the port of entry. That's the right way. And now you have the catch and release. So to explain the port of entry, so let's say you're in front of Honduras, and you say, you know what, the crime is, I can't bear it. The crime is just out of control. I'm scared for my life. I got people wanting to kill me, want to kill my family. And so what you can do is, depending on your situation, you then can seek asylum. You can come to the port of entry. Okay. And what happens is they give you a date. Okay. And so that's when you hear the catch and release, because they'll give you a date you're supposed to come back. Well, so typically they don't come back. You don't come back.
Is that what they call it, catch and release?
Yeah, the catch and release. But if you you get to go before a judge and you can explain your case and your hardship. Now the judge can look at your case and your hardship, and depending on what it is, he can say, you know what, you deserve asylum, you can stay here. But at that point, when they catch and release, they are legally allowed to be here. Now they have a baby. That baby is subject to the jurisdiction. It's different than the caravan that you have that's in the water, paddling on their canoes, coming here. And it's so bad they got to build you see the military has to build barbed wires because they're sneaking across fields. They're going through the jungles.
Okay.
Let's tell it like it is. Are they going through the jungle?
I ain't seen them go through no jungle, man. I ain't seen that National Geographic episode. Yeah. But what I want to say is you keep mentioning legally, right? Okay. And at what point does our government have to take responsibility for them not following international laws by supporting military coups that lead to the destabilization of countries like Honduras, that per capita became the most dangerous place in the entire world, right? We can't just keep throwing rocks and then run behind our glass house and then cry because people want to start looking at us and say, why did you throw the rocks?
Right.
We're living in a glass house and then we're trying to enforce legalities, but the reality is, how did those situations start from our illegal actions to begin with? That's what I'm trying to talk about. Where is our moral standing to judge anybody to say, you're doing wrong, but yet we can't take accountability for our own government's actions? That's what I'm trying to talk about. Now, I agree, this is not the ideal situation. I don't think there's any immigrant in that caravan or refugee, whatever we want to classify them as, that'll say this is what they wanted for their life. But at what point do we say, look, okay, we got to help the situation or we're going to make it worse? That's all I'm trying to say, is that we can't just blanketly condemn people without understanding the nexus of how their destabilized nation began. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Once again, okay, let's get to it. They're in Mexico, and Mexico has said, you know what? We feel for you guys. You know what? We see what's going on in Honduras,
which is unique for Mexico,
right?
Because normally Mexico is ruthless.
But Mexico saying, you know, Mexico, and they're so cold right now. Mexico got them sleeping on the streets.
Yeah, I know.
And so, but I'm just saying, but Mexico saying we will offer you asylum, and they're saying no, we don't want asylum for Mexico. So now you're saying, well, we caused this situation, and we sent military over there, and we destroyed Honduras, and they have the right to travel 2,000 miles to get here, but yet halfway through there, a country is saying, we will give you asylum, but they're saying no. On top of that, they're burning their flags. They're waving their flags. They're throwing rocks at the police officers. They're being destructive and violent. They're making rafts, jumping in the water.
Well, you got. I mean,
at what point do you hold
this from a historical perspective?
Do you hold them accountable?
They should be held accountable.
Okay,
right. But let's look at this from a historical parallel, right?
Okay.
How did Rome fall? Rome fell because they were too involved in other people's business. They were going to other countries. Well, they weren't called countries at the time. They were interfering in other people's cultures and other people's business. They were conquering left and right, right?
Right.
And as a result, they were building up their own wealth.
That's true.
The people who were being exploited saw that wealth from afar and said, well, they took all of our resources. It's all over there. And what happened? They said, well, if we want a piece of our pie, we got to go over there to the promised land. Right? So what did they do? The Visigoths, the Germans, all these so-called barbarians, they started saying, look, Rome got all our stuff.
That's right.
And what happened? The barbarian invasions happened, and they took down Rome. That's how Rome, the Western Roman Empire, fell. And that's why I feel it's an important lesson for the United States right now, because we are, whether we like to acknowledge it or not, we are an empire. We are probably the largest empire this globe has ever seen. And our reach has overextended ourselves to the point where we are doing things in other countries like Honduras that we should not be doing. And then we want to sit there and complain when the residual effects of that come back like a boomerang to us. And that's all I'm saying is that we need to start looking more closely at what people are doing in our name in Washington, D.C., and what they're doing in Mexico, China, Africa, Eastern Europe, Korea, Mexico, Honduras. That's what I'm saying is that if we really want to stop these issues, we have to look not at overseas or the Eastern Hemisphere, but how much do we need to start looking at what's going on in Washington, D.C.?
But once again, here's the question I keep asking you. They traveled to Mexico.
But I'm saying you're looking at it. You're looking at a symptom. I'm trying to look at the main cause of the illness.
So we know it's there. So there's nothing we can do about that, right? The cause is there.
There's a lot we can do about it.
Okay, right. And there's a lot Mexico can do about it too. And Mexico have. So Mexico has stepped up to the plate. Mexico has said, you know what? We're going to offer them asylum. And let's see why they did it. Because remember, there's that new Canada, Mexico, U.S. deal that up Mexico wages.
The NAFTA 2.0?
Well, NAFTA 2.0.
See, and then even NAFTA, right? NAFTA decimated a lot of local farmers in Mexico that exploded. If you look at statistically, it exploded illegal immigration.
That's true.
Here to the United States.
That's
so
true.
Once again, it was U.S. policy that was backed by corporations that were trying to maximize their profits, and they're not caring about the fallout of what happens in Mexico or the fallout in our neighborhoods where now people from these rural areas are now migrating here and saying, look, I don't have time or the resources to sit there and go to the embassy or worry about doing these paperwork that's going to take so many years. My family is starving right now.
So I'm got to come. So
I'm going to follow the money.
So right. So with that, they come in illegal. Hey, my family's starving. I can't worry about asylum.
They come in illegal the same way the United States took half of Mexico illegally.
So what do? So they hop over the fences. They hop over they just
walk across.
Walk across, however they do it.
They just walk across.
Now, going back to the 14th Amendment, subject to the jurisdiction thereof. They did not enter a port of entry.
Okay.
They did not seek asylum.
The person.
They came
That's
in.
That's not the child, though.
They're not. But when they
That's
have a child. So when they have a child, now let's see what happens.
It's home free.
So they have 4 or 5 kids that they're on the system now. They receive the benefits that the taxpayers are paying for, right? And so remember this. Okay, let's look at this. So
let's pause real quick, right? And you keep on bringing up benefits.
Before we pause,
right? But I want to ask this.
Okay, go ahead.
How much does the United States economy benefit from the contribution and labor of undocumented immigrants that receive no Social Security? They're paying into these systems. They're paying taxes on their income, but they don't receive the services. They don't have kids in school. They're not going to the hospital. No, not everybody.
The ones that have the
kids.
Not
even close. Not even close.
The ones that have the kids, they receive the benefits. They get Medicare, right? That they get the kids for free for the insurance.
I think we're looking at things like anecdotally that we need to be looking at data.
Okay. So let's look at this. You have an individual that comes here, they legally, because like you said, they got to save their starving family. Okay. So then they come here to save the starving family. So then they work out in the fields.
What about the people from Eastern Europe or Russia or the Ukraine or Trump's wives that come here under the guise of an Einstein visa?
Before we get to the conclusion, let's deal with this fact. That they come here, they work out in the fields for minimal amount of money, right? They have kids. So now the kids, they get the health care, they go to school, they get all the benefits, Social Security, get all the benefits, right?
No, they ain't getting no Social Security.
The kids have a Social Security number. So then if the kids claim...
if their kids, how they getting benefits?
So
they haven't even paid into it yet.
The kids get benefits. So let's say the kid's on an IEP program or the kid says he's disabled and he gets that Social Security benefits. But they get the welfare for the kids, right?
Nah.
Kids don't get welfare?
They're not eligible.
Kids not eligible to eat?
How you going to be eligible? You go fill out some paperwork.
The baby don't get the welfare?
I think we're oversimplifying
the baby don't get the WIC?
And I think
the baby don't get the WIC?
I think we're oversimplifying things.
Okay, but at the end of the day, who's paying for that? Taxpayers. Whatever they're making on the field don't even cover what they're using. So they're actually getting double benefits because
But let's look at it like this from the agricultural industry, right? The taxpayer is also paying the subsidies for these companies so that milk only costs $3 something a gallon, and avocados are only what we pay today in an extreme amount. We paid $2 for $5 for 2 avocados, man. That's outrageous.
That's true.
But
That's true.
But if it was not for these subsidies that are going to these farmers and these dairy farmers and etc., we would be paying way more than that, and the American consumer cannot afford that. So it's not this issue does not exist in a vacuum. It's a two-way street, right? We're looking at saying, oh, we're paying benefits for them to have WIC, etc., but we're also saving money when we go to the supermarket and we're paying 79 cents for a tomato instead of $7.99, right? That's what I'm saying, is that this system is serving somebody. And we're worried about looking at the people that are at the bottom of the economic rungs. We're looking in the wrong place.
No, I will agree that farmers, corporations, they do love and they thrive off illegal immigration because it is a billion-dollar industry.
It is.
It's like if you look at the slaves built America. America was built on free labor.
Yep.
Blacks built this country on free labor,
and now it's being maintained on devalued labor.
Right. So then now. You can bring somebody in from Honduras, from Mexico, from that Central America region.
Or we outsource to China,
right.
India.
And so what you can do is you can say, you know what? I can pay you 14 cents an hour or whatever they pay them, right? So we can keep the tomatoes at 79 cents. So now when you go into the grocery store, you can get a tomato for 79 cents versus if I had to pay a worker $15 an hour plus benefits, that tomato is $7.99.
You ain't making no profit no more.
So now these farmers are making money. And so at the end of the day, but the taxpayers are still fronting the bill. So all you're doing is passing the bill from corporations to the American taxpayers.
I agree.
And now let's talk about China and India. So now you have these companies. Let's say you have like even phone, where you can call in and phone service, tech service. They're bringing these jobs over to China and India because it's cheap labor there. So now you had a person who can answer the phone with a service tech or whatever they call it. They answer the phones and sell the products. Now it's in China. Can't understand what they're saying. It's in India. It's in the Philippines. But you once again, you've hurt the American worker, right? He can't get this $25 an hour job.
I still don't understand how we're in debt to a communist dictatorship. I don't understand it, right? Somewhere we went wrong. To me, nothing else, none of this other rhetoric even holds any kind of weight when we're in debt to a communist dictatorship, because China is still a communist dictatorship, right? So how are we in debt to a communist dictatorship? I don't understand it.
Well, what you got.
Maybe we need to look at that before we start messing with Mexico and Honduras, right?
Yeah.
Or El Salvador or wherever, Cuba, wherever. How we still got an embargo on Cuba, but we're doing exclusive business with China?
Right.
I don't understand that, right? So we got to look at
you know why we're in debt. We're in debt to China because China, they export more than they import for us. So China is always sending us more goods.
Yeah, but the fact that we have
but
relocated
the level,
thanks to Bill Clinton,
right? Bill,
right? We have
Uncle Bill.
We have taken all of our industry there,
right?
Closed down our factories, our cars,
the steel.
everything.
Hey, let's get to the steel industry. The steel industry was a profitable business out here in the States, right? They shut
Even
the
here
steel.
in Stockton.
Yeah, they shut the steel industry down and they sent it to China.
Yep.
And now China sent us back inferior steel.
And who did that benefit?
It benefit the corporations. It benefit the politicians.
Exactly.
So if we're gonna tell it like it is, let's tell this that both parties, right? They
millionaire, yeah.
Right. Now how's that? If I work for $150,000 a year,
you're playing Mega Millions.
Right.
Be running for Congress.
They have the best life because they get everything for free. They leave multi-millionaire. Look at Paul Ryan. He's getting ready to leave as a Speaker of the House.
He need to leave.
Well, he's getting ready to leave.
Long overdue.
He's getting ready to leave, but he's going to leave a multi-millionaire.
Cheers to that.
Right. But once again, this is Tell Like It Is. You can like us on Facebook, YouTube.
Casa Mexico.
There we go. Shout out. We got to get into these propositions.
We ain't going to have time to get into propositions, man. Let's do the quick rundown. We got 5 minutes to go.
Okay, so
Prop 1, where you at?
Well, on Prop 1, I am no on Prop 1.
Which one is that, man? I don't have my list with me.
Okay, the Prop 1 is dealing with the states to borrow $4 million to increase affordable housing for the veterans.
For veterans, okay.
So the reason
now, we're both veterans here, right?
So let me tell you why I'm no on Prop 1.
Okay.
This is why I'm no, because you probably yes. The program is a great program, but the problem is with the program is they already have the money. They've used these programs before, and they never give it to the veterans. So if we say, okay, yes on Prop 1, it's not that I'm against it. I'm against the fact that they get these monies, and then they don't give it to the veterans.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you. I think they're using and exploiting veterans because they want a lot of money for bonds to go to special interests that are supposedly going to build these centers. But at the end of the day, they don't care about no veterans and haven't cared for the last I don't know how many years. So
Prop 2 is the borrow money for the mental ill, right? So the wins again, I am no on Prop 2. Once again, I think when you talk about mental ill, that should be run by the county because what they're trying, and essentially what they're saying is we're going to borrow bonds and we want the state to run the program, and then the state dictates how the mental ill and the houses is going to happen, right? But the problem with that is a lot of people don't want mental ill houses by their homes, right? I think the county should really regulate that, and I think it should be a county-ran program.
Okay.
And so I think county should say, okay, we have this block of area, for the mental ill.
You're no on Prop 2?
I'm no on Prop 2.
I'm going to go with a yes on that because I feel like we have been lacking in mental health services since Republican icon, a.k.a. Republican Jesus, Ronald Reagan, shut them all down in California back under his governorship.
And once again, I'm a no because it's going to create more. And here's the biggest reason why. Because with Prop 2, if you get this more money, they're going to start diagnosing more people with mental illness. It's all about money. So you're going to create more homelessness because there's nowhere for them to go.
That.
It will because they're
going
to get, I think what they said, an extra $100 million.
It's going to be the new trend. I just want to be mentally ill and homeless.
So you're going to get these doctors
getting
all this money, going to start. You watch. You're going to have more mental ill people on the streets because of Prop 2. Prop 3 is the water bill, right? Once again, I'm a no.
Right, what's Prop 3, man?
Prop 3 is the water bill.
Okay.
And I'm a no once again, because there was a bill passed before. They didn't use the money for the water bill. I'm a no only because I don't truly believe they're going to use the money for the water bill.
I agree with you, man. No on Prop 3.
So Prop 4, that's the hospital, the 13 children hospitals that they're supposed to.
I'm going to go yes with that.
I'm going to go no. The reason I'm going to go no again is because we already have $200 billion right now.
Okay.
Why can't we take $3 billion right now, give it to the hospitals? Why do we have to get bonds that we pay back over 35 years at a higher rate when we could just pay for the kids right now? If they care about the kids, why don't we spend it now?
I feel like it's needed. I feel like it's necessary.
But the money's there.
That's a yes for me.
No for me. The money's there.
Prop
5
yes.
is I'm a yes on Prop 5. That's the loosening property tax for people with 55 years of age and with the senior severe disability, to where with the property taxes where they're saying that if they're over 55 and they sell their houses, they don't have to, they can keep that property tax at the same.
Right.
So I'm a yes on that.
I get down with that.
Okay, let's go to Prop 6.
We're in agreement. Prop 6.
Gas tax.
I'm going to have to go.
I'm a no for sure.
You're a no?
I'm a no on Prop.
So that means you want to keep the tax?
I don't want to keep the tax. I'm a yes to get rid of that
tax. So you're a
yes.
yes.
I'm a yes to get rid of the tax. I'm a no on the gas tax.
That's why I feel my only concern with that is that it might fail because people are confused and they don't understand if you want to get rid of the tax, you got to vote yes.
I'm a no for the gas
They're
tax.
They're thinking it's for a tax, but really it's to get rid of a tax.
Right.
I'm in a complete agreement with you. Yes on Prop 6 because I feel like, you know what, our legislature is wasting money. They're way out of control with the high-speed rail, and they're diverting millions and billions of dollars to that is way over budget from what they promised. And I feel like they need to get their priorities straight, and they're trying to pass the costs on to consumers. And so yes on Prop 6.
Okay, I'm with you with that. Daylight savings. I'm a no on
negative.
It, but I don't really. I mean, if you want to go yes, that's
I'm gonna have to pull my what's the old boy's name from American Idol?
Ryan Seacrest.
Nah.
Oh, Simon Cowell?
Nah, the other guy, the other cat.
Oh,
the only black guy they've ever had on the show.
Oh my God, I got you. Yeah, the only black guy ever had.
That's a no for me, dog. that's I'm gonna have to go negative on that.
Okay, we're going negative on that. 8 regulates. That's the regulation for kidney dialysis with the CDC.
You know what? Normally, I would say when I read that, I think the intention is proper, but I'm going to have to go, that's a big negative for me, Ghost Rider. I'm going to have to say no because I know that the union that's really pushing that is a very predatory union that Full Disclosure I used to work for. And so I'm going to have to go negative on that because I know what they're trying to do is they're trying to
use the ballot, the proposition system as leverage for their negotiating because of their failures at the negotiating table. So I'm gonna have to go no with that.
So this is why I am a no. I'm a no too. If you're trying to go regulate these kidney dialysis, so people don't realize, okay,
it's gonna have unintended consequences,
right? Because what it is, it's a money making business.
But at the same time, that industry is making billions of dollars in profit, and I do believe it has to be regulated better. But I don't think that Prop 8 is the solution.
But the problem, if you regulate the industries, they've already said they're going to close it down.
Nah, I disagree with that for the simple fact if there's profit to be made, there's still going to be people in business making that profit.
But the way Prop 8 is written, they're saying that you got to rebate.
That's what I'm saying. The unintended consequences.
Right. So they need to fix this better, and I think it'll pass. Prop 10.
I agree. For Prop 8, I just want to be clear. I support the premise of it.
I do
but
too.
I don't support the actual way it's written or the organization pushing it.
How it's written, how they're trying to support it, I don't support that way. Prop
Go
10.
back to the drawing board, Prop 8.
Okay. Prop 10.
There ain't a Prop 9? What happened to Prop 9?
Prop 9 was out. It was
really?
cut. Yeah, the Supreme Court took it off.
They just didn't show up to the game?
No. So Prop 10, what are you on Prop 10?
Prop 10, that's a 100% absolutely yes from me.
Okay.
This rent is too damn high, man. It's just out of control, especially in the Central Valley. You got this exodus from the Bay Area, and it's driving up prices crazy in Stockton, Sacramento, the Central Valley, and it's just pushing people out, and it especially people on fixed incomes, elderly, disabled, veterans. There's no way for them to make up those rising costs of rent when there is no justifiable reason to be raising these prices other than people are price gouging.
Okay, so I'm absolutely no. Let me tell you why I'm absolutely no for Prop 10. So this is what Prop 10 will do. So as you know right now, there is rent control. It came in through L.A. I think Santa Monica was one of the first ones to implement rent control, called the Costa-Hawkins Act, which basically said, okay,
it needs to be repealed.
Right. So what they're doing now with Prop 10 is trying to repeal the Costa-Hawkins Act.
And
so
I
if you don't know
agree
what Prop 10 is, what Prop 10 is saying that your local government can then set the rent controls. The problem you're going to have is a lot of investors will not invest in these local markets.
They will.
No, they won't.
Again, just like with Prop 8, if there's money to be made, it's going to be people making that money.
There's not going to be money to be made. So if investors don't invest,
I disagree with
rent is going to go high.
Wholeheartedly.
So if rent goes high, now all you've done is cripple the industry.
That's a scare tactic. People don't believe it.
It's not a scare tactic.
Don't believe it. Anybody. Vote yes on Prop 10.
Vote no on Prop 10. We're going to tell it like it is. No on Prop 10. We're going to tell it like it is.
Vote yes on Prop 10.
Right. So then we got to get into what's the next one? Prop 11. Prop 11 is the ambulance with the should they get paid during their breaks?
I'm going to go with yes on that.
Once again, I'm going to go no, and this is why. If you allow people to work during their breaks, you're setting the precedence now for other workers to say, well, you know what? If you have an emergency job, then you must work to your breaks.
So now Republicans care about workers.
Hey, we care about workers.
Hey.
We let government control.
That's
so
history
I'm
in the
a
making
no
right here. Y'all hear that?
I am a no on Prop 11.
History in
for
the making.
Workers. I am for the workers, and the
that
workers
right?
need to have their union breaks or need to have their breaks. We should not take their breaks from them.
Bookmark this show.
Yeah, bookmark it. So
we
12.
got a Republican caring about workers.
Now I know
in
you care about this. The animal cruelty for the hens. And the cows.
I'm gonna go with, you know what? I'm iffy on that, man. I feel like
I'm going no, because if you put these regulations, now your eggs gonna be $10 a dozen, and your veal and your hamburgers. You remember this: if you vote yes on Prop 12, when you go to the grocery store on January 1st, when it comes into effect, and your egg prices is $10. Remember, it was because of what you did to those hens. You want those hens to have a bigger coop, all right, and you want them to be nurtured. So if you vote yes on 12, essentially you're voting yes for $10 eggs and $20 hamburger meat. Now I want to get into the measurements.
I'm iffy on that, man. I ain't confident on that one. I'm gonna be like I'm gonna go neutral on that.
What's the measure? Measure M that everybody's talking about?
Measure M. Which one is that?
What's the measure M?
I want to say Measure B for San Joaquin County.
Okay.
Negative, Ghostwriter. That's a big no. Vote no on Measure B.
Okay.
You got special interests run by unscrupulous politicians that are trying to put a tax on cannabis sales, as if that's going to be helpful for anybody, when in reality that's only going to encourage the continuation of the black market, because the prices on legal cannabis is going to be too high. So I'm gonna go no. And then what I really see that as is as a money grab, an attempted money grab under the guise of doing things for children and kids, because who's going to vote against children and kids? But what it's really going to go is to special interest nonprofit groups here in the county. I'm going to have to go no on Measure B.
Okay. Well, I'm agreeing with that. Measure B, I'm going to go no. I do agree with what you said on that one. So, hey, we're out of time right now. This is Tell It Like It Is. We'll be back with you next Sunday, hopefully at 6 p.m. You can catch us on Facebook. Our Facebook page is coming up. Like us when we are there, and YouTube. You can catch us on YouTube as well. Like us there. And hey, this Tell It Like It Is, where politics are being discussed from both sides, from a conservative Republican and a progressive Democrat, with respect and without all the hating. We out. And thanks to the sponsors.
Thank you to the sponsor, Casa Mexico.
Salud.
Salud.